Good day, I'm Ben Seymour of Kudzu Patch Productions. Have another instrument to show you again today. This is one that I just finished doing some restoration on. This is the original color of the thing. It's kind of a shoe polish brown, little overtones of red in it, I suppose. But anyhow, don't know anything about this one as far as when it was made or who made it. But it was found in Ohio, and it does similar, very similar in appearance and shape and everything like that to some of the ones that are pictured in L. Allen Smith's book on pre-revival dulcimers, particularly numbers like E44 to E46. Now there's some in there that have 3 holes from Ohio. This one has 4 holes, so don't know. Maybe somebody just saw one of those and decided to copy it or whatever, but not really sure about, like I said, the provenance of this. And also don't know the wood that it's made out of, although the suspicion with several people that have looked at it is that it's made out of poplar. Reason we don't know the type of wood is it definitely is old, because it's one of those, when I got on the inside of it, all the wood's gray. So it's just gotten to that gray stage where it's like, wood just kind of looks all the same unless it has some specific type of, figure to it or something, and this doesn't. I do have some little tiny slivers of this wood that were taken from inconspicuous spots out for research right now that somebody hopefully can tell me exactly what it is, but we're pretty certain it is poplar. But anyhow, it had a really terrible crack in the back here that somebody had just kind of filled with glue, and the glue was all like, proud. It just kind of glopped in there. I guess they thought if you put enough glue it'd stay together. So anyhow, I scraped that off and then refinished this and sealed that crack. And there were a couple other real small cracks in the back too, so I went to the inside and cleated it. A curious thing about this one, it does have 2 feet here, it does not have a 3rd foot, which is interesting. But also, the whole thing is screwed together. I mean, the sides are screwed on, the back is screwed in, the top is screwed on. This, the fretboard, is just screwed in right here to an extension of the headstock, and then it's screwed to the tailpiece. That's it. It is not glued to the top. Nothing on this thing was glued together. So it's pretty interesting. There were some where the sides are glued in. There's some really big braces in there. I mean, they're like 1/2 inch thick and like 1 1/4 wide, 1 1/4 wide, or something like that. So it's a very curious thing. But because of that, it was easy for me to get inside to cleat it, because I just took a couple of screws out and lifted everything apart. So there was a few things. A few of the edges were actually curling up. And I reattached those with a little bit of hide glue because that was the only way to get those down. There was no place for these to be screwed, and I didn't want to put in new screws. But there's screws all over it. And anyhow, the pegs were busted out as well, and so I put in some new wooden pegs, and some of the staple frets, which go all the way across the strings. Some of those were bent and kind of messed up a little bit, so I've cleaned all those back up. I haven't moved any of them, but I cleaned them all back up and polished them down so they'll play a little easier. It did have some very curious, it had some strings on it, probably not original strings. They look like guitar strings, and like it was a real curious thing. The treble string, instead of being a thin string, somebody had done it like a guitar. And it had a wound guitar string right there. It was like a .050. So great big old thing. It would have been like an E string on a guitar. So, but who knows? Anyhow, and it didn't have the saddle and the nut were gone, and so I replaced those as well. So anyhow, here it is. And like I said, definitely an interesting little piece of history because it's like a missing link maybe or something. I don't know. But anyhow, I'll play a little tune on it. It's a rustic scale at best. After about the 7th fret, it's kind of like, yeah. And the 6th fret even is real weird. You can hear this. So, you know, kind of odd. But anyhow, but it's an interesting little box. And like I said, definitely has some historical interest in it because of where it came from and, you know, and its age, which is obviously pretty old from looking at the wood on the inside. So here we go, a little Angelina Baker. Angelina Baker on a restored, very old Ohio, probably, dulcimer. That's where it was found. Very, very interesting little box. Had some other interesting aspects to it, which was this fretboard is completely hollowed out, all the way down. And a lot of older dulcimers, you don't find that. But this one is only about 3/16 of an inch top on the fretboard. And also where the saddle was connected, it is actually lowered, that part is, so that a bridge can go in there and you don't have action that sits up like half an inch. So somebody thought about that. And also it has a 13.5, a 6.5 and a 13.5 fret. Some people say, oh, that's not traditional. It's like, well, I've seen a lot of old dulcimers and some of them will have an extra little note here or a little staple fret here or there on maybe the second string, and some of them have frets all the way across, some of them have frets just on the first string, some of them are chromatic, some of them don't start until the third fret. Instead of having 1, 2 here, they just, the third fret's right there where that would be. So you know, it's you know, the little short half step there starting it, because that would be the tonic on most 1 and 1/5/5 tuning anyhow. So they just, it's like, why bother with that? I guess, you know, there are a lot of tunes I find where it goes down below the tonic, but I guess that was not something they were worried about. So anyhow, so, you know, as far as tradition goes, it covers everything. So there's no like right or like this is the way it's got to be. So nah. So number of strings, number of frets, it was whoever built it, and they put in the frets they needed for the tunes they were going to play. So anyhow, here it is. So if you have any restorations and or repairs that you need done, feel free to contact us. Or if you have any custom instruments, you can always find us at www.kudzupatch.net. Thanks, hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.